Yeah. So really quickly, just want to go over the latest market action report that the RMLS, we write about this every month, but this time of year is really interesting because, a lot of people, if you are planning on selling your house and you haven't put it on the market, personally, I probably wouldn't put it on this time of year, but you're still seeing a lot of things happening. A lot of buyers are, getting pretty good opportunities right now because there still are. There's the inventory is there. So on the right here, this is inventory over the last couple of years. You can see 1 month in 2022, but that's incredibly low.
Yeah, that was
3 months
crazy.
is still technically low. Our old textbook definition was 6 months of inventory. So that means if sales continue to happen like they do, it's going to take 6 months to sell everything. But in our case, it's 3 months. But this is what's interesting to me is the pending sales. So pending sales are up 10% from November of last year, a decrease of 21% from the month prior. So that's basically what you're seeing is on average this time of year, sales start dropping. But we've had a pretty significantly better, winter than previous years. I don't know if you want to touch on like what you're feeling, at least maybe from a buyer's perspective this time of year. Maybe that's different from years past, but you've got a lot of buyers pretty good homes this time of year, which is kind of rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of things. So from a seller's perspective and from what traditionally happens, I find that people tend to take their homes off the market and not list during the holiday season because they don't feel it's a good time.
Mm.
And so you see kind of lower inventory or things that are maybe sitting on the market for longer. Um, so because of that, personally, I think it's a good time for buyers and it's a time to get potentially aggressive, especially with this year in particular. But I mean, obviously it totally depends. Again, if you're priced right and you're in the right neighborhood, and the home doesn't need any work, it's going to go quickly, sometimes even over the asking price and for,
Yeah.
multiple offers. That certainly can happen. But if you're not in that situation, it's kind of when the savvy buyers come out, honestly. And again, just kind of being more aggressive. It's been
Yeah.
a very surprisingly busy time for us
Yeah.
this December/November, which is great. Yeah, somewhat buyer heavy. We definitely, we had a listing sell in 6 days, which is
Yeah.
it took a week to get an offer, and then we got a cash offer and it closed in 6 days, full price. Closes today, actually. So it kind of just totally depends on the situation.
Mm.
But again, I think this is kind of, again, what I said earlier, when the more savvy people are engaging the market.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely. I mean, there's that story of, I can't remember what the date was, but someone had an offer deadline for like Christmas or something.
It was
Um,
Easter. Yeah.
Easter, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like if you're going to list a house for just a couple days and then put a really short deadline, that's not a great strategy. Because
No.
to your point of being aggressive this time of year for a buyer, I think that's the right strategy. On the selling side, it's like to your point, if you're in a good neighborhood, you're priced right, there are enough buyers out there, and the stats do
Yes.
show that. But to me, that's unless you have to move. Like I probably wouldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
That being said, if you're looking at all the numbers and you price it right, then you're going to get it sold. Because again, like, so here year to date, I mean, we're up. Closed sales is up 3%, and that's why, to me, I'm not sure exactly why pending sales are up 10%. Closed sales, this is a weird one too. Closed sales are actually up 25% from the November prior. So that's a significant, increase. But again, down 15% from the month before.
Right.
So you're probably not, what you're seeing is some of the inventory that's been sitting there for a while. So average days on market right now is 64 days. And this is a little bit of a misleading stat. So like even when you're looking at any of these stats, it's a little bit hard to understand. This is when something actually goes pending, because the problem is a lot of homes don't actually go pending. And so it doesn't affect this. If they counted everything that was on the market that's maybe been sitting there for 180, 300 days, and I've literally seen some listings on there for years.
I know.
So we don't really want to count those because those aren't true sellers. But at the same time, this is for things that are selling. It's 64 days. So it does take a while So there is certainly a lot of patience that's required.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're feeling about this year, because I don't know, we haven't really talked about this specifically, but I feel like every month is a new month, and we have to like pay attention to what
Oh
happened
yeah.
last month, what's happening
Yep.
now, like what's our competition. So
hmm
much closer than really we ever have. In a market where it's pretty consistent, you put a house on the market, you get a lot of showings, you get lots of offers, that kind of thing. Pretty easy for anybody to do that. But right now, it's like literally every single month is changing. And again, not to harp on
Yeah.
this, but if you can explain to me really concisely how closed sales increased 25% from the year prior, but decreased 15% from the month before, is it a good time to list a house or a bad time? It just depends.
Yeah. I know.
And that's the
always
hardest
the
answer to give someone. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's not uniform. It's not the same for every scenario.
no.
I know that people want it that way, but it's not black and white. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, and the question too, like, why is my house not selling? It's like, well, you know, we talk about that in detail. If that's the case, like we should be able to communicate, because every situation is so different, and we plan. That's why, like, pricing at the end of the day is always the most important thing. If everything else is good, your marketing's good, photos
Right.
good, everything's good. It comes down to pricing. That's the biggest driver here. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm guessing in January it's still going to be somewhat similar. We're going to have the numbers kind of jumping and
Yeah.
moving and changing, and depending on what type of inventory comes on the market. Because the other weird stat that's not going to be on here, it's a little bit harder to find, but the average home has increased. The price has
hmm
increased, um, but I don't know what it is right now. But this time, like last year, the average size of home was significantly smaller, and we saw a decrease. So it was the first time we saw prices actually go down, but also smaller homes were selling. And part of that is because those are the people that really needed to sell. Maybe they had another kid, or they're now definitely working from home only, so they had to sell. Now we're kind of getting back into the normal world, where it's people that are just like, we just want a new location, we want whatever.
hmm
So it's slowly getting back into like the normal reasons why people move, not the 100% we have to leave type of sellers, which is what we saw over the last couple of years, and why prices really stayed high, depending on
Yeah.
how you look at it. But
Yeah.
like
Well, and
yeah,
certain price ranges are a lot more competitive regardless, because with where interest rates are, they're just more affordable. So
yeah,
those, move faster, where
yep,
the other ones, might have taken a hit.
yep. The super luxury stuff has taken a big hit. It's just surprising how like $1 million homes haven't had a massive hit. But
hmm
yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. But I guess the moral of the story for all this is the stats here are very complicated and convoluted, but at the end of the day, like, it's a case by case situation when you're buying and
Right.
when you're selling.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.